Hi, good morning, friends. Today I'm going to be sharing with you one of the favorite verse in the Bible. My favorite verse in the Bible is in Psalms 34, verse 19. It says, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God would deliver them from all." Now, this is a psalm that David wrote, and David is a man that have gone through a lot of afflictions. But this very psalm was written out of an experience that David had. And we can link this psalm to the events that happened in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 21. If you read the whole verse, you'll get a good understanding of what David went through. But just to give you a brief background to that is David, when he was running away from his master Saul because he was trying to kill him, David found himself in a place called Gath. Gath is part of the land of the Philistines, and Gath is the same city where Goliath, the giant of the Philistines, came from. And when David was there, some of the people, servants of the king, saw David, and they recognized David and said, "Is this not David?" That the people of Israel sang about him, that Saul killed thousands, but David killed tens of thousands. And David realized he is in trouble because they took David to the presence of the king. But David realized that the king will kill him. Then he decided to pretend as if he was mad. He pretended he was insane. And the story said David began to write on the gate silly things and also allow the saliva from his mouth to drip on his beard. And when the king saw David, he was furious with his servant and said, "Is it because we don't have enough mad people in the city that you are bringing another madman? Or who do you think I am?" And he said, "Please, can you take him away?" And that was how David was saved from the hands of the king of Gath. And it's to show you that David felt the deliverance of the Lord from the hands of his enemy. But David has not just gone through that affliction. There's a lot of afflictions that David went through in his life. David also have gone through the afflictions of lack. So many times he lacked food, most especially when he was running away from his master. There was a time they lacked what to eat, and David and his men were so hungry that they went to the priest and asked for bread. And the only bread that was in the temple at that time was the bread of his presence. Usually the bread is kept representing the fellowship or the presence of God in the temple. And the priest gave them the bread to eat. So David have gone through a lot of lack in his life, but even in his lack, he said God will also deliver, or God delivers him from his lack. But also David have gone through emotional situation. For David also at a point, his own son rose against him to fight him, to overthrow him. And it was so difficult emotionally, even though he loved his son and what his son was trying to do with him. So there was that emotional breakdown, and so many places that we may not go through all of them, that David was broken in his heart because of the relationship that have gone sour, or his relationship that have gone sour. But also David also have gone through the affliction of rejection. He was practically treated badly by his family. When Samuel came to anoint one of the sons of Jesse to be king of Israel, we saw in the story where all his brothers were brought before the prophet, but he was not invited. He was not even mentioned by his own father, and it shows rejection. But David may have gone through a lot of experience of trouble and afflictions in his life, but he wrote to say that many are the afflictions of the righteous out of experience, but God would deliver them from each one of them. Now we saw the different areas of the afflictions that David have gone through, and it can apply to you that you're going through a situation of lack. And when I said lack, it could be in different areas. It could be financially, it could be in times of provision for your children, for your house, and a lot of things that we're looking for provision in different areas of our life. That could be an affliction, because then it's not easy to go through a moment where you lack. But David said God is able to deliver you from that affliction. But also it could be emotional afflictions that you're going through. Emotional could be as a result of a broken relationship, of a relationship going sour. But all this, God is able to deliver you from that affliction. But also it could be of anxiety. Anxiety comes as a result of a fear of the future, fear that something horrible will happen, even though you're not sure it's going to happen, but you feel that fear, and it makes you anxious. And so many times when we are anxious, we harm ourselves, we stop living, because we're so afraid of tomorrow that we stop living today. And God is able to also deliver you from that. But it could be also spiritual. It could be sin that you are struggling with. You remember David have also fallen in sin so many times, and one of the times was when he committed adultery with Uriah's wife, and she became pregnant, and he eventually also killed Uriah because of that. And that was the sin that David was in. But even in the area of sin, God delivered David. And one of the famous psalms that we read, cast me not away from your presence, O Lord, is a psalm that David wrote when he was before God for the sin he has committed. But even in that, God delivered him. So I don't know your situation. It may be difficult to even explain it to people, but God understands what you're going through. And I stand on the word of God and also pray for you that many may be your affliction, but God will deliver you from each one of them. And I pray that whatever you're going through, that you'll be able to have the grace to go through that, because God is coming to deliver you from each of your affliction. If the word of God is true, then it's going to be true in your situation, that God would deliver you from each of your affliction. May God bless you.